Welcome to Conversations, Season 2 of the MTA Podcast Series, a weekly audiocast featuring interviews with leading investment strategists, geopolitical experts, and other key thought leaders. Brought to you by the Market Technicians Association.
Welcome to Conversations, the official MTA podcast. I'm Alex Spiroglou today. I'm joined by Jeffrey Hirsch. Jeffrey is president of Hirsch Organization and editor-in-chief of the famous Stock Traders Almanac. Without further delay, let's talk to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Okay, let's begin with the usual question, which is, could you please give us some information about your personal and educational background before getting involved with TA?
Well, I basically grew up with the Stock Traders Almanac. It's as old as me. I celebrate my birthday about the same time every year that we put out the new edition. So before I was born in 1966, Yale started the Stock Traders Almanac and came out with the 68 edition in late 67. And I basically grew up around it, was weaned on, chart analysis, seasonal analysis. And after spending some years at university studying philosophy and other liberal arts, I left in search of my calling and ended up starting working full-time with Yale in 1990. And, that's when I really started to immerse myself in all different forms of analysis, technical, fundamental, and seasonal, and otherwise.
Perfect. In that case, how actually did you get involved with technical analysis?
Well, I mean, as a boy, I was even looking over the shoulder of Yale and the other analysts you had when they were looking at charts of stocks in the market. We randomly draw trend lines and support and resistance levels in the newspaper, charts, and that was sort of the beginning of it. But once we started, working on picking stocks and making market calls, that's when we started to I started to become more involved with looking at technical analysis, chart pattern recognition. Way back, and till this day, we do follow some of the George Lindsay technical patterns. I think that was one of the major influences. I also remember and still read some of Ian McAvity's material. He's a big technical analyst, and I learned a bunch of things there. And I guess the start was almost from the beginning. I was exposed to it as a child, and I took on to the business. We started, incorporating as much as we could into our analysis.
Okay. Now, having given us a brief mention about your work, could you please describe us your day-to-day responsibilities and the most challenging aspect of your job?
Well, nowadays in the digital age, we're putting out a lot more content, and I think that constant requirement to produce every day and the deadlines, that's probably the most challenging aspect. But pretty much, we put out 2 alerts a week, a blog post every day. We do 2 almanacs a year, plus other books. So it's a constant state of analysis and research and writing. It's sort of, every waking day, as many of us know. You wake up, you start either tweeting or reading the news, and it goes on throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Now, this brings us to the next part of the interview, which is it's called the toolbox. Could you please give us a brief description of your favorite tools and techniques, and what do you specialize in?
Well, our specialty is seasonality and recurring historical patterns. We're large proponents of the 4-year U.S. presidential stock market cycle, also the best 6 months. I know the saying, sell in May and go away, comes from the side of the pond over there, coming back and saying Ledger's Day, if I've got the historical axiom right there. But, back in 86, Yale created the best 6-month switching strategy, basically getting in on October 31st and getting out April 30th, where most of the markets, gains have been made over the years in the May through October period, as we've seen very much the last couple of years, with seasonality really marching to the, historical rhythms again and patterns. So with that, one of the technical tools that we use developed by our old friend Jerry Appel is the MACD. I use that in conjunction with, sentiment, a little stochastics to look at some pivot points and other, candlestick type charted things, other chart pattern recognitions, Lindsay's 3 peaks at a domed house, head and shoulders, and basic support and resistance levels that you see where their support's been built or there's a gaps that get filled, that kind of thing.
I understand. So in order to create your methodology, which have been your greatest influences? What would be your top 3 technical analysis books to recommend?
Well, I think the big influence was obviously Yale. My father raised, with looking at these different patterns, and from there, I think some of the other gentlemen that worked with us and for us, a couple of people you might not know, Dan Turov, Bob Cardwell, George Brooks, some of these people. Recently, my co-author on the Commodity Traders Almanac, John Person, has been an influence. His book, The Candlesticks and Pivot Point Charting, are, I think, one of the top books. Also, Bulkowski's, Encyclopedia of Chart Trading Patterns, and the Colby book, the Encyclopedia of Technical Indicators. I think those are 3 that I go to, refer to if I need to refresh or check something out. There's been other influences. I think currently Barry Ritholtz and as I said, George Lindsay. There's another book that just came out, the Lindsay book that Ed Carlson put out that I think is important for people.
Oh yeah, we spoke with Ed a few weeks ago.
Yes,
a similar interview about his book.
That's the best investment book of the year for us in the 2012 almanac. That just
he mentioned. I managed to have a look at the book. I read it. It was very, very interesting. He did a very quite thorough job on the issue.
Yeah. Even some personal history of George was interesting as well.
Yeah, most certainly. Technical analysis principles and axioms. If you could distill your market knowledge in a few axioms, which ones would these be? For example, don't fight the Fed or the tape.
Well, I think it's important to be contrary to the crowd, and not be the last person standing in a bull or bear market. You want to not try to pick bottoms on tops and get in as things are changing. But I think contrary thinking and contrary investing is probably the key to what we try to do. I get nervous when everyone starts to agree with us or me, and we're looking for the midterm election year sell off and bottom, which we didn't get in 2006. Right now, everyone was pretty negative in this, bad September, early October period, and that was one of the reasons we sort of changed course a little bit. I was looking for some more downside in the market, but seeing that everyone was getting pretty negative, I felt as though we were making a bottom here, and it still looks like we're doing that.
Fun fact: what does Jeffrey do to relax outside of market hours? Do you have any hobbies?
I do some things. I have a couple of young boys, and I like to take my wife places and travel, do things with her. But other than that, I play some rugby. Still a little bit of old boys. In my 20s and 30s, I was a little more active there. I like golf, and I do some surfing when we can get away. And I do love to cook as well. And I'm, fan of most music and theater and that sort of thing.
Brilliant. So that wraps up today's MTA's podcast. My guest today was Jeffrey Hirsch. For the MTA, I'm Alex Spiroglou. Jeffrey, thank you so much for your time. And for the rest of the people, I'll be seeing you next time.